and every who is present here, respected faculty members, staff members, all the dignitaries, our esteemed guests, and all my dear friends. This is Riya Mishra, first year LLM student at Department of Constitutional Law and Legal Order, School of Law, Gujarat University, your host of this event. So, may I request you all to stand in honor for our Gujarat University song?
Vandan Abhinandan, Vandan Abhinandan, Vandan Abhinandan, Vandan Abhinandan, Vandan Abhinandan. Gujarat University apni, Gujarat University apni vidya Vandan Abhinandan, Vandan Abhinandan, Vandan Abhinandan, Vandan Abhinandan. राष्ट्रजीत का कला साधना खेल भावना विकसी विश्व मानवी बनी गुजराती विश्व सकल माविल से स्नेह संत साकार निसाते देखी तुम सम्मति सौम्या साधन संगाते सब सिद्ध करे उन्नति प्रेम बंधु का समानता न बल बल करसे वंदन अभिनंदन वंदन अभिनंदन वंदन अभिनंदन वंदन अभिनंदन वंदन अभिनंदन वंदन अभिनंदन
With that, I would like to give a brief about the Gujarat University. As we all know that Gujarat University is ranked as the 50th university in NIRF ranking and has emerged as the first university under the Gujarat State Institutional Ranking Framework recently. The spirit of ingenuity and innovation reigns supreme at Gujarat University, a fact best represented, and it's emerging as the top 10 institutions in India in the Atal ranking of institutions on innovative achievement, a flagship initiative of the Ministry of Education, Government of India. So on that note, let's start our conference. And for that, I would like to request all the dignitaries to please step forward for the lighting the lamp. Being born as a human is a blessing, and for that, health, nutrition, food are essential for living a life. It touches every facet of our lives, from the food we put on our plates to the laws that govern the distribution and accessibility of these essential resources. On this National Conference on Sustaining, Exploring the Intersection of Health, Nutrition, Food and Law, let's explore the knowledge with its opportunity and challenges to discuss with different research papers and make human as well as the world a better place. Now, I would like to invite Director of School of Law, Dr. Subhash P. Rathod, sir, for the welcome address.
A very good morning to all of you. It's my privilege to welcome you all to this one-day national conference on sustaining lives, exploring the intersection of health, nutritious food and law. I take this opportunity to welcome Professor Dr. Suvid Majumdar, the Director General of Biotechnology University, Professor Dr. Purvi Pokhriyal, the Dean and Campus Director of NFSU, Institute of National Importance, my colleague and convener, Dr. Prachi Motiani, my colleague from the department, Dr. Chetna Bhuja, of course, my previous Director of School of Law, Professor K.C. Rawal, and Dr. Lilani Saib. Presently is the registrar of the Biotechnology University. My friends from the Food and Nutrition Department and Professor Mayani from the Department of HRDC, and my dear friends. 20 days back, Dr. Prachi came to me that we are going to organize one national conference. Essentially, you see, this topic is very interesting one, but under the edges of constitutional law and legal order, she chose that one. One of the reason may be, she is a student of environment law. She did her PG, Masters in Environment Law, and we used to teach all these things in environment law. That's the one of the reason, and it is most evolving also. And that's the reason, when I said it's okay, beautiful, there is nothing to change, because the title was properly framed. So that I said that, okay, exploring the intersection of health, nutritious food and law. So there is a link, direct link between nutritious food and health. There is no doubt about it. But the time has come that we have to frame some policies and law so that everyone can have a nutritious food. Think about, is it possible right now? Even in India, we are cost 1.4 billion people. Still, they are not getting the enough food, I am telling frankly, not nutritious food, I am telling frankly. And when I'm talking about the whole world, we already crossed 7.5 billion. Many developing, least developing countries, they are not having enough food also, I am telling frankly. But yes, there is a pressure on the state to provide all the things. So what we should need all the time, whether we should need food or nutritious food. And if we, for that matter, let me that reminds me the Robert Malthus population theory. He talked about that once in 18th century. He talked that population is growing exponentially, and food production goes arithmetically. A day will come, people will die of hunger. Up to some extent, it is still true, but thanks to the biotechnology, it has rescued up to some extent through the plant genetic resources. Using the plant genetic resources, we are coming up new varieties of food, that is there. But question comes, how come all the people will have that food? That is the most important thing one have to understand. That's the reason we need food security. Without food security, we cannot have this nutritious food, or we cannot reach to each and every people. That's the reason FAO, that is Food and Agriculture Organization, has come up with a beautiful definition which says food security exists when all people at all times have physical and economic access to sufficient, safe, nutritious food, and that meets their dietary needs and food preference for an active and healthy life. Not only nutritious food, but food preference has to be there. I don't know whether nutritious food is fine, but do we have that nutritious, food preference is there or not? Because we have lost all money. We should go for it. That is the reason we should go for a sustainable agriculture. So time has come when you are using the word sustainable, everything we are prefixing the word sustainable. So sustainable lives, again question means what you mean by sustaining lives? Only the human beings or we are thinking about, if I believe mythology, there are 84 lakhs different species. So there is a connection, interconnection between them. We have to survive them. That the conservation of that biodiversity is most important, because that is on what we are relying upon. The human beings' dependence on whether it is in health or food, it is 90% we depend on the biodiversity, this other species. Question comes right now, a day has come, because sir was looking at that posters, there are certain things that are not healthy. Nowadays, we are not eating foods that are coming from the natural plants, but generally we eat foods from the industrial plants that are manufactured in industrial plants that are in the shape of fast food. So time has come, we have to understand there are laws, and in that way also we can connect it with the sustainable development goals also. That is the intra-generation equity. So I am not taking much time, because we have very good two resource persons, we can say, because they are equally knowledgeable. So I am not taking all the things. We will discuss later on in any of the sessions. So thank you once again for sir coming for this conference, and I welcome you all, because without you the conference cannot be held. And thanks to all the delegates who are going to present the paper. At the same time, equally, I am thankful all the participants. You see, in conference, participants are required. A person will come, he will talk about for 15 minutes, he will go away. So participants are the real listeners, I am telling frankly. So my request would be, it's a beautiful subject. It is an interdisciplinary subject. I wish that every participant listen all the papers, or listen to all the resource persons, and interact with them, so that we can come out with some good thing. We can send it, that it is a first time, I am telling frankly, it is a beautiful, because, and in that sense also I am thankful to the Food and Nutrition Department of Gujarat University. They have come up, they have all the things, whatever you are seeing the lobby, it is, they have come to with all the things. So welcome you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your kind words, sir. It means a lot. Now, I would like to request Professor Dr. Subhash P. Rathod, sir, Director of School of Law, Gujarat University, to facilitate our today's chief guest, Professor Dr. Subir S. Majumdar, Director General, Gujarat Biotechnology University, with the memento. Now, I would like to request Dr. Prachi Motiani, ma'am, Head of Department of Constitutional Law and Legal Order, School of Law, Gujarat University, to facilitate our today's guest of honor, Professor Dr. Purvi Pokhriyal, ma'am, Dean, School of Law, Forensic Justice and Policy Studies, NFSU Gandhinagar and Campus Director, NFSU Delhi, with the memento. Now, I'll just give a brief about our department. Department of Constitutional Law and Legal Order, a constituent department of School of Law, Gujarat University, was established in 2019. It aims to add newer magnitudes in legal education that would integrate international standards. The Department of Constitutional Law and Legal Order has rapidly emerged as a pioneer institution offering a specialized LLM program. This program stands as a beacon of knowledge and expertise in realm of constitutional law, providing legal scholars with an in-depth understanding of intricate dynamics that shape a nation's legal framework, an embodiment of academic excellence and legal enlightenment. The Department of Constitutional Law and Legal Order continues to shape legal professionals who are poised to navigate the complexities of constitutional governance and contribute meaningfully to advancement of justice and democratic principles. For that, Let's cherish our journey from year 2019. So before we dive into the heart of our conference, I have this privilege to invite our head of department of Constitutional Law and Legal Order, Dr. Prachi Motiani ma'am, to provide us with the insightful introduction to the theme of our conference. Please, ma'am.
Esteemed dignitaries, on the dais, off the dais, my dear students and presenters and participants, a very good morning to one and all. It is my great privilege and pleasure and honor to welcome all of you in the Sustaining Lives, Exploring the Intersect of Health, Nutritious Food and Law Conference. As the theme of the conference is directly related with the human existence. And we know that there is a saying, જેવું અન્ન એવું મન. જેવું આપણે ખાઈએ છીએ, એવું જ આપણે વિચારીએ છીએ. So health is directly associated with the food when it comes to the consumption of the food. And we all know that health is not only being sick, but it is about the feeling good in our body, minds, and how we interact with others. It also covers the mental health also. So being a healthy, not only food, but nutritious food, and rightly pointed out my director School of Law, now the specific kind of nutritious food is also one of the emerging area which need to be fulfill the desire of the food security aspects also. But everyone, not only in India, but across the globe, there are people are not getting enough food for their access to food they have. They are not getting enough food for their survival also. So here the question comes related to law, where we need the special legislation to come up to solve this issue. So the law can play a role in ensuring that everyone has access to nutritious food. As we know that under Article 47, it's also, there is a duty of the state to raise the level of nutrition, standard of living, and improve public health. And as the theme of this conference, it's also related with the core fundamental right, the right to life, which is given under Article 21 of our Indian Constitution. Though this subject is little bit diverse from the aspect of Constitution, but it has the direct link with the various fundamental rights, and the, as I said, under Article 47, it is the obligation towards the state also to fulfill this duty. Apart from this, when we are talking about the health, we should not think only about the human health. We should emphasize about the One Health concept. And while delivering the while addressing the nation during the Independence Day, our Honorable Prime Minister also emphasized the concept of the One Health. So One Health is not only the health about the human being, but it covers the life of the health of the plant, health of the animals also. So unless and until we will not accept this approach, till then we cannot say that we are the healthy, because after the COVID, the entire scenario has changed, and we have the National Food Security Act 2013. With the object of this act, we enacted to provide the food and nutritional security in human life with cycle approach by ensuring access and adequate food should be available to each and every segment of the world. And when we are talking about the access to food, it is directly has the correlation with the sustainable development goals also. When we are talking about the well-being, this goal 3, it specifically talk about the health and well-being, and also the goal 1 and goal 2, the zero hunger, are also associated with this aspect. India, for instance, ranked 107 out of 120 countries in 2022 Global Hunger Index. This is the serious concern when in 2012, the World Health Assembly identified the 6 nutritious target to be made by 2025. But according to the latest report, only 7 countries of the world have achieved this target, but other countries are still struggling for that. Apart from this, when we are talking about the health, plant, the biotechnology is also one of the emerging area which raise the number of ethical and moral and social issues. When the use of the genetically modified organism, the patenting of life, and the implication of biotechnology, human health and environment. Here the roles come of the IPR. When the pharmaceutical patents has been awarded to any invention of the pharmaceutical drugs or vaccine, definitely it attracts with the human rights aspect also. Apart from this, there is the one challenge that can be difficult to determine what is patentable with respect to the biotechnology inventions. So biotechnology law is a complex and rapidly changing. So for that, we need a specific legal regime to address these challenges. No doubt we have the National Food Security Act, but up to certain extent, we need more crystal clear legal regime to address all these issues. And to facilitate the modern science and for the health of the well-being, the people and planet, the government of India also established in March 2022, WHO Global Center for Traditional Medicine in Jamnagar also. So our government is also trying to achieve and to fulfill the targets which has been somewhere attracted by the Sustainable Development Goals and which are the need of the hour. At last, I would like to thank all of you for coming. I hope this conference will help us to find way to improve access to nutritious food and improve the health and our well-being. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your kind words. Now, it's a great honor and privilege to introduce our guest of honor for today's conference, Professor Dr. Purvi Pokhriyal, ma'am, Dean, School of Law, Forensic Justice and Policy Studies, NFSU Gandhinagar, and Campus Director at NFSU Delhi. Ma'am has more than 25 years of academic and industry experience in the field of law, justice administration. Ma'am is specialized in the area of criminal justice studies and education. Ma'am has been conferred with the distinction of being the first ever female chairperson of the Indian Society of Criminology. Ma'am was conferred with Senior Social Scientist Award by the Indian Society of Criminology for her significant contribution to the field of criminology. Ma'am was also selected for the Best Law Professor Award by the Business School Affairs and Devang Mehta National Education Award. Ma'am has served several research papers published to her credit and has presented more than 50 papers in various national and international conferences. Ma'am is also associated with Gujarat State Judicial Academy and Police Academy as a resource person. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in extending a warm welcome to Professor Dr. Purvi Pokhriyal Ma'am for keynote address.
So, very good morning to all of you. Respected Professor S.P. Rathod, respected Professor Majumdar, Dr. Prachi, all respected Professor Rawal, all the distinguished professors over here, students, participants, ladies and gentlemen. Well, it is indeed an honor for me to be here on this beautiful Sunday morning. And I'm so glad someone was just referring that Sunday bhi itna kaam hota hai. Yes, we are India. We are new India. We don't see clock. We work 24/7, 365 days. We need to conquer the world. We have a high agenda before us. And we are going to be the world leader. And then we can't stop Sunday, Monday. There is no holiday for us. And this is precisely, we all have been working. I have seen day in and day out. You know, earlier, some of you may be aware, I was with a private organization. You know, our understanding of the government organization is that, you know, government organization must be, you know, it's okay. I mean, you can work, but then there is, at 6 o'clock you go home. So when I was earlier, my office is to get over by 4 o'clock. I used to go to office home at 6 o'clock. Now I go home at 9:30, 10. So there is more than 13 hours of work and no Sunday, no Saturday. So this is what the new India is. And I'm so glad that on this beautiful Sunday morning, we all are meeting here. And I must compliment, you know, precisely exactly 1 year before I was at Cambridge University. I was visiting Cambridge in September 2022. And there I have seen the center working in this area of food, nutrition, law, and policy intervention. And we all must be coming across so many national conferences, international conferences, Indian universities and abroad. I have never ever come across these themes. First time probably in India, someone in Gujarat University School of Law talking about sustainability, sustainable lives, exploring the contours of nutrition, food, law. I mean, this linkage is amazing because that makes us to think so many interdisciplinary. We say in national education policy, we are into transdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, cross-disciplinary education. And this is precisely the real multidisciplinary area, law, as we all say, law is omnipotent. Law is everywhere. Law has to travel through all the disciplines. And we need to understand much deeper insights of all these areas. And this is precisely what is an impact of nutrition, food, issues or that impacts the agricultural, that impacts the IPR, that impacts the research and innovation in this country, and how does the law regulate and how do you connect it with SDG. This is indeed a very remarkable area, and I must compliment Professor Rathod, Professor Prachi, and all the entire team for selecting this topic and made us to think. Had not been this topic, probably I would have never visited Cambridge document again. I would never visited to, I got to know when I was, because this is a new area. Had it been the criminal law, we can talk any day, any time. It's a new area. You have to explore as we all are exploring. And I came across the detailed policies of the World Health Organization that, and then these policies are urging the different governments to make an action plan based upon these policies, and these action plans has its ramifications on the legal order as well. So this is indeed my point is this, that this is indeed a great theme. Well, friends, when we talk about the sustainable lives around us, we all know that we all live in Wuka World. Those who from management field, you all must have come across this world quite often. This Wuka, before 10 years, when this particular acronym was being much in vogue, at that time we used to say that Wuka is something which is volatile. Wuka has his own understanding that volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world we live in. That's what the understanding was. But the COVID pandemic has transformed so many things, and that has transformed the understanding of this Wuka world as well. Now we say that we are into Wuka 2.0. Now what is Wuka 2.0? It says that volatility, we stand for volatile, that has become vibrant. It's not volatile, it's vibrant. It says uncertain, it's not uncertain, it's an unreal. Is not complex, is crazy. Earlier C stands for complex, it says crazy. Is A for ambiguousness, is not ambiguous, it's astounding world. We live in vibrant, unreal, crazy, astounding world. We live in this Anthropocene era. We live in this geological age wherein our actions decides our future. And that's what's precisely before few years when we all have started talking about SDG. What was the underlying theme of SDG? The underlying theme of SDG was that no person leave behind. That was the first principles through which all the SDG 17 goes through. And that was a promise that has given to us, each country. It was a shared promise based upon these shared realities, existing realities of this planet. We give a shared promise that let this make this planet, which is a thriving one, making more healthy and human. That is based upon this. We have come across the 17 SDG, and as Professor Prachi has rightly pointed out, when it comes to these conference themes, the SDG 1, SDG 2, and SDG 3, they plays a very vital role. We need to re-examine. I'm very happy to share, and some of you may be all aware, September 18, 19, 2023, the SDG, United Nations is going to have a final meeting halfway to review the SDG. And before this final meeting happens, if some of you have had occasion to review the SDG report of 2022, so what were the parameters, like some of the statistics with Professor Prachi also shared, I have noted down few points which is relevant to SDG 1, 2, and 0. This report, which is released for this meeting of September 23, it says that the first is no poverty, because poverty, zero hunger, and nutrition and well-being there are three very deeply connected, ambitious goals. And for all these goals also, we have a performance of indicators, which is well defined, and we agree to the performance indicators, and every country is going to be measured on the basis of these performance indicators. So this says that this 2023 report says that 575 million people are still in the extreme. This is a global data. I'm not talking about the Indian data, because there's nowhere in the conference talks about the Indian context. We have all become a global citizen, and in the G20, we all are the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So we don't think of India, we think about the global order as well. So 575 million people are still under the extreme poverty. That means the 1/3 countries. And then even if you consider this thing, by 2030, wherein we wanted to eradicate poverty, the pace with which we are going, even by 2030, it says that, it predicts that only the 1/3 of the countries will be able to meet the target, and that too of the halfway to eradicate poverty. Because the COVID pandemic has hit us severely in so many aspects of the performance of all these SDG, including the poverty. And we all know that the pandemic has such a severe effect in all the aspects of human life, including the rise in the poverty level. The second aspect is that, and then this is not enough, this is extreme poverty. This says that 9.2%, now second is a zero hunger goal, 9.2% of the world population has been facing even today chronic hunger. Now what would be these 9.2% people of the world population? It's 735 million people are today not getting a food. They are facing extremely, I would say, the chronic hunger. And which is, as I said, which is 122 million more than the data that showed in 2019. That shows that COVID has hit it severely. 122 million people are added to this figure. Not only this, but this, of course, the one aspect of these contributing factors is COVID pandemic. The second is the conflict area. We all have seen the Russia-Ukraine war, the all conflicting zone, climate change, and growing inequities in all aspects of crony capitalism has contributed this thing. So this is 9.82 is extremely, they're not getting a food at all. And 29.6% of the world population, that is 2.4 billion people, 2.4 billion people even today are moderately or severely food insecure, meaning thereby they don't know whether I'll get the dinner today or whether I'll get the tomorrow's lunch. I'm getting a lunch today. I don't know. I have a severe insecurity for my next meal. That is 2.4 billion. And if you compare the data of 2019 to 2022, there is 391 million rise. That again, I'm saying pandemic, war, conflict, and all these things have added to this figure. 391 million are more than the data that was there in 2019. Then comes the nutrition and health and well-being, the SDG 3. Now, when it comes to the nutrition thing, the figure says that 22.3% of the children under the age of 5, they are still stunting. And these issues are not only relevant to globe, but even if you look at its implications on the economy, because there's, what have contributed this thing, the contributing factors are also the rising prices of the food in different countries of the world. It says that there are almost 34% of the countries have shown the rising prices of the food. हमने भी तो ना दाल आटा चावल का भाव बढ़ गया. That what we all have been. पहले दाल इतने में मिलती थी, अभी इतने में मिल रही है. So there are a lot of contributing factors. So this has been the situation of the recent report in 2023 report that the United Nations has published. Now in that context, how do we look at the global policies which the World Health Organization has deployed? How we are acting, it has, I'm not discussing the entire policy. The policy document is easily available in the Google. You can go through that. It has right from what Professor Rathod says that it hits the distribution policy to the sustainable farming to the research and innovation. How do we strengthen the all agricultural innovations, all the subsidies? So it has multifaceted, complicated structure that we need to evolve as a part of monitoring and regulatory structure in order to execute this policy. Now, if I talk about, because as we all know, what is nutrition? Nutrition is that the intake of a food which has an impact on the way in which you function. The food has the impact on your body and impact in terms of how your body functions, how your mind functions, and nutrients are nothing but the chemicals, and that chemicals create different kind of an effect in your body. So being another part of NFSU, we only talk about criminal law and we only talk about the forensic science. We live criminal law 24/7. I was just intrigued to see that how this nutrition is playing an impact on the issues of the criminal law, or how do we decide the legal policy based upon the quality of the food, the quality of nutrition, and the kind of I'm sorry. So it has different facets. The first and the foremost facet is what we call it, that how does the food, because as we all know, food has a very delicate and intricate relationship with our health and with the legal system. Now, I'm just trying to portray that how it impacts the criminal behavior, how it impacts the incarceration of the crime, how it impacts the strain on the law enforcement agencies. And thanks to Prachi and Professor Rathod, I could think through the nutrition and the criminal law only because of you gave me an opportunity to discuss this thing. Now, first and the foremost is the criminal behavior and nutrition. There has been a lot of studies done by Cambridge and the other universities, as I said, wherein it is categorically, the empirical data shows that the malnutrition, and particularly during the early childhood, wherein your cognitive function is getting developed. So during this early childhood, if you are faced with the malnutrition issues, then it leads to the cognitive and behavioral issues, and that rises the risk of the criminal behavior. Likewise, it also, research link also suggests that poor nutrition and the higher likelihood of the engagement. That's what, when we teach the course on law and impoverishment, law and poverty, how these are issues which are deeply connected. So proper nutrition may also, if I have to stop, just let me know. Okay. So proper nutrition has its own impact on the criminal behavior. Then the second is a substance abuse and diet. We all know that we all are worried. The kind of a drug trafficking, the kind of a drug consignment we are seizing every day and night from all the corners. Earlier only one state was being tabooed. Now almost all the states, all the campuses of the university, everywhere amongst all the youngsters, I'm being told that, some of the drugs usage has become so normalized now. It has become the normative framework among the youth today. So how does it impact on the drug abuse and diet? It's the street that I have in the research, it shows that substance abuse goes hand in hand with the poor dietary choices. The particular choice, the particular dietary food that we eat, it has its own, linking with the craving for certain kind of substance abuse. And that's the reason that, and this is how once you go for the substance abuse, you have very poor, what you call hunger. So, you are not being able to eat properly. And these, and due to this, due to the substance and drug abuse, we have seen there is a constant rise in the criminal activities. People in the youngsters have become, so many of them have become kleptomaniac. We don't know. They have raised a tendency of stealing the things. There has, and these studies, fortunately or unfortunately, in India is not being so carefully undertaken for a system, for a particular duration. Let's say, for example, when we analyze the data of National Crime Record Bureau, that when we say that, okay, in this year, the crime rate has increased in this country, in this state, and this particular crime has increased. What are the causes? and what I mean, and when you're studying a particular NCRB data for 5 years in a row for Gujarat or for Rajasthan, whatsoever, then when we are trying to identify the causes of this crime, how do you relate with this kind of dietary choices, nutrition? What are the different factors which contribute this thing? One of them is also this, which we need to now think through. The other thing is that mental health and nutrition. At Professor Rathod at NFSU, we have a Center of Excellence of Happiness and Well-being. That how do we promote happiness? Now, happiness is not like talking about happiness. Happiness never comes. It comes from within. It has some kind of a chemical reaction that happens in your brain, right? So many patients we are examining, so many subjects which we are discussing, examining. And at that point in time, one of the things which when we take the case history, what have you eaten, what did you do, all the kind of, when you in the examining, when you counsel this, when you take these cases, at that time, the kind of the food intake and what has been their habit, what is their, what is the favorite food and all these things, what is the relationship with the food and the mood swing. We have seen so many people, they have a stress hunger. When they are in stress, they will start munching. I have seen, there was a study when it says that during the exam time, youngsters eat all chips and all packets and all the packaged food and all this cold drink and Coca-Cola and Pepsi so much, because that's one of the stress buster. Likewise, I've seen all the corporates, such the techie guys, those all the electronic city and tech city. They have a lot of this thing in the fast food, the burger and pizza, and then midnight. We have seen now in Ahmedabad also, there are all 24/7 restaurant eating all kind of serving all kind of an unhealthy food. And then, so the point over here is that the stress and the kind of food, that relationship is very complicated, and nutritional deficiency can worsen this thing. I'll just wind up immediately. Then comes the policy intervention. There are some of the countries, in Gujarat also specifically, because the state did, Professor Majmudar may correct me, but they said highest diabetic persons in India is from Gujarat, because we are so sweet people. We always eat sweet, drink sweet, sleep this. Without sweet, nothing happens with us. The dal mein meetha, sabji mein meetha, sab mein meetha, hum bhi meethe. So that's what the kind of a notion we have, right? So, and then we never considered, and sweet causes so much adverse impact on our health. But then we never ban sugar. Sugar nahi hota hai. But there are certain countries, they have introduced sugar tax. They have not banned it, but then to control, they regulate the consumption of a sugar. There is a special sugar tax that they have introduced, and we also, because sugar has its own chemical reactions, and including the mental conditions and things like that. Then of course the food insecurity, as I said, is poor people, those who have a craving, hunger. Naturally, they have a tendency to commit more crime, and that has been we have seen the researchers have proved it. So, and then the problem does not stop here. They are poor, they commit crime, and then they commit crime and they don't have money. So again, they are all languishing. Then we have all the study that who all are languishing in the under trial prisoner. They all are the poor people. So it is a kind of a very that circle is something which is a very toxic, and which is very difficult to to break this thing. And then comes and not only this, suppose if you are not being able to, you have a problem of the nutrition deficiency, then it creates a kind of all diseases. And then for disease also you have to have some kind of medical assistance, and the healthcare cost is there, and you are poor, you don't have the facilities, you don't have money to take care. So again, it's a very, the cycle is something which is very difficult to break. So unless and until we have proper policies, we have proper regulations, monitoring structures, very detailed studies interlinking these issues, then only probably we will be able to do. And another point is that, which I would like to talk of, because we deal with a lot of law enforcement agencies, all police people, the traffic police, all the, look at the plight of all the police officers and the prison officers, they have to deal with the kind of a people every day. So how do they manage their stress level and, the food, there is no fixed timing of their eating, no healthy food, whatever they get, they eat. So it has its own impact on the work style. And then we say, police wala danda hi ghumata hai. That's a kind of a notion, because that all are the behavioral changes that happens due to the proper food choices, because lack of the proper food choices, they are being unable to make it. And it's same way, it's so important for the prisoners also to provide the kind of a nutritious food. They have a separate guideline. National Human Rights Commission has also come with the guidelines, because food has an implication on their incarceration also. If they want to improve, if they want to come out of this thing, the kind of a food they're serving, the kind of an activity they are engaged in the prison, as we all know, it's a reformatory home. No more is a punishing home. They're the reformatory homes. So the food has a lot of impact on it, on the rehabilitation, on the incarceration, and even the recidivism. Also, food plays. I mean, these all kind of studies that is being carried out in UK and in some European nations as well. And we need to think through that how in India we are being able to manage, because, and that's precisely, we have the system in Anganwadi, in midday meal, in schools, everywhere. We are so much conscious the kind of nutritions and the health and sanitations. And another thing is that, that policy document, the WHO also talks about the food distribution cycle, the way in which the food getting adulterated in the distribution cycle. We have seen, this age of जब भी त्योहार का दिन होता है ना, during this Rakhi, Diwali, all these Fasai people will have, all the food drug inspector will go and will seize this shop, that shop, these restaurant. So the kind of the health and safety standard, the food safety standards, we are supposed to, it's not something which is the part of the someday activity. It should be a regular structure of monitoring which we need to evolve. I still remember when you used to teach the first year law students the law of crimes, we said, yes, mens rea is very important, but only the Food Adulteration Act says that there is no intention, there is no criminal intention which we look into, because it's the strict liability which we try to borrow in the criminal law. So as a nation in these area, we can do a lot of things, and I'm pretty sure that Gujarat University will take a leadership by organizing this kind of an event, and don't stop this here. This all discussion and discourse just to the restricted to the conference, but you can do a lot of small students club and take this message forward, the way in which you have displayed all these good habits outside. You need to promote and linking with these issues of law. That's just in humble suggestions. Thank you.
Please accept our warmest thanks for the beautiful and kind words, ma'am. Now, it is an immense honor to introduce our chief guest for today's national conference, Professor Dr. Subir S. Majmudar, Director General of Gujarat Biotechnology University. Sir brings to us a wealth of knowledge and experience that spans a remarkable career in field of biotechnology. Sir has carved a niche for himself as a leading authority in the field of biotechnology. His contribution to the field have not only expanded our understanding, but have also paved the way for groundbreaking advancements in it. As the Director General of Gujarat Biotechnology University, Professor Dr. Subir Majmudar, Sir has played a pivotal role in shaping the landscape of biotechnology education and research, fostering innovation and nurturing the next generation of scientists and researchers. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in extending a warm welcome to Professor Dr. Subir Majmudar, sir, whose presence and wisdom will undoubtedly enrich our conference to address the gathering. Please, sir.
Thank you. Nice to meet Rawal Saab, Madam, and Kothari Saab, Bukhriyal Madam, and thanks to Prachi Madam and also Leelani Saab that I am here today. So some of you may think that he must be getting bored because he is here. He is a biotechnologist. And I was thanking Leelani ji and Prachi ji for asking me to come here, because after one age in life, a true leader should think, I'm not saying I'm leader, but a true leader should think how he or she should understand everything which exists in society. Whether it's a law, whether it is a hunger, whether it's a crime, whether it is a relationship, whether it is a student-teacher interaction, or learning how to sail a boat. So many things we have not done in life, I guess. So we are always expert of our own field. But I am grateful to you, madam, that you brought me today here. And thankful to Leelani ji. I learned a lot. I'll also tell you a few things. Some of you must be thinking that he is closing his eyes and probably sleeping. I was de-stressing myself from huge amount of stress I have to make space for the things told by all three of them, Kothari Saab, Pokhriyal madam and Prachi madam, and asking my brain to digest and assimilate and permanently integrate that in my brain, so that I can give a good talk here for a very strange subject for which I am called today. Some of you also must be thinking कि बीच-बीच में WhatsApp देख रहा है. For your information, as I was listening to them, I was opening relevant subjects in biotechnology and how they are related and what is new in that. I know, but I was recapitulating. मेरी memory madam जैसे नहीं है. Madam was saying all the numbers. तो मैं numbers बचपन से ही हेट करता हूँ, इसलिए मैथमेटिक्स में मतलब किसी तरह से पास हो गया. तो वो नंबर्स याद नहीं रहते, पर मेरे को लगा कि वो नंबर्स नहीं याद रहे, पर इस तरह से बहुत चीजें याद नहीं रहती. So I was recapitulating them by opening relevant things in internet and I was reading them, not watching the WhatsApp, for your information. I also learned that I was sitting once in an interview, and along with me at that time, Dr. Shekhar Mande was Director of National Cell Science Center at Pune. So are there students also in audience? Some students are there. So learn what I want to share my experience so that you learn. So I'm a good learner. So then Shekhar Mande became Director General of CSIR, the whole country's Council of Scientific and Industrial Research. At that time he was Director NCCS Pune. Very often वो इंटरव्यू बोर्ड में बुलाने के बाद मैं बार बार वो सेलफोन देखता था. फिर मेरे समझ में नहीं आया. फिर मैंने उसको टी ब्रेक में पूछा, बोला यार तुमने ये वाला सवाल कैसे पूछे, इट्स ए वेरी न्यू सब्जेक्ट. बोला नहीं, वो जब बात कर रहा था ना तो मैं सेलफोन पे खोल के देख लिया. तब तक मेरे पास वैसा सेलफोन नहीं था, ऐसी सिंपल वाला था वो बटन दबाने वाला. मैंने सोचा ऐसा सेलफोन जरूरी है जिसमें गूगल और इंटरनेट वही चलता है, और कभी कभी वो होशियारी मारने के लिए भी हेल्प करता है. जैसे अचानक से आप ऐसा सवाल पूछो जो लोग सोचेंगे अरे इसको कैसे आता है. That helped there. So I was watching and trying to make myself relevant to this gathering so that I can speak something which will kind of give you some enlightenment, some entertainment. So the topic given here, that exploring intersection of health, nutritious food and law, is very interesting. In country, there is a committee in the Department of Biotechnology who is trying to make regulatory rules to ensure how food can be manipulated. So if you are a good lawyer or if you are a good nutritionist, probably you must be aware of 2-3 things. BT Brinjal, big case went on, and then genetically modified mustard, which recently Department of Biotechnology with the help of Ministry of Environment and Forest have given permission to launch biotechnologically modified mustard. So where the law comes and where the nutrition comes. So let us see one half, that is nutrition. By year 2050, the population of the world will become around 8 billion. अभी देखा मैंने इंटरनेट से. So फिर मेरे दिमाग में सवाल आया कि how does it matter? Why there is a disconnect between food and the population? So I again went and tried to see what was the population growth in last century. And then I discovered in last 1 century, we have 4 times increased the population. So it was around 2 billion before a century. Now we are going to be around 8 billion. Very simplistic calculation is, we say that we have encroached land of farmers. If you think seriously, we have encroached land of farmers not for farming but for building. School, college, smart cities, factories. So those two things went in reverse direction. Land started becoming less and construction started becoming more. Population started becoming more. So ideally there should be a 4-fold increase in tilting also, so that the nutrition and the food requirements can be really matched. That never happened. That resulted into poverty. तो मतलब 100 साल पहले आदमी भूखा नहीं मरता था, malnutrition से नहीं मरता था, वो मरता था और कई सुविधाएं नहीं थी, एंटीबायोटिक्स नहीं थे, दवाइयां नहीं थी, हॉस्पिटल्स नहीं था, और मरता था. अभी और एक प्रॉब्लम है, आदमी मरता नहीं है क्योंकि हॉस्पिटल से. अभी मैं जिस कॉन्फ्रेंस में बैठा हुआ था तो वहां सुबह मॉर्निंग में एक स्लाइड मुझे याद आ रहा है, उसने दिखाया एवरेज लाइफ ऑफ इंडियन हियर. So we have more than 65% of the population of the age of around 30 plus minus 5 years. जापान में वो 50 है, मतलब वो मरते ही नहीं है, अच्छा लाइफस्टाइल है, खाते पीते ठीक है, साफ सुथरा रहते हैं. So more number of people are surviving now for a long time. So food और चाहिए, you need more food. So what is where the biotechnology and where the law comes? So you definitely need a biotechnology because the food comes from majorly 2 sources, animals and plants. So now the biotechnology will be required because now you have less land, you want more food. तो मतलब गेहूं का दाना जितना बड़ा होता है, अगर डबल साइज का हो तो मैं उतने ही लैंड पे डबल ग्रेन ग्रो कर सकता हूं. सेकेंड थिंग कम्स ट्रांसपोर्टेशन. आपने टमाटर बनाए, आपने अमरूद बनाई, आपने पपीता बनाया. बाय द टाइम यू ट्रांसपोर्ट एंड इट गोज, सेब बनाया आपने, इट गोज टू द मेन सिटीज, उसमें से 20% सड़ जाता है. So you use biotechnology. Actually, people have used biotechnology. There is an institute called the National Institute of Plant Genome and Research, as is Professor Ashish Datta, who have introduced a gene in tomato that it will ripe 4 times later than how it ripes now. So storage and transportation में जो loss था, you save. So how you increase the food and nutrition is by making more yield per plant, disallowing death or rottening of the plant products. You can express proteins which will prevent its ripening. So obviously transportation में वो ripe नहीं होगा, storage में वो ripe नहीं होगा. तो आप उस तरह से डिलीवर कर सकते हैं जो टोमेटो 7 days में खराब हो जाता है, उस टोमेटो की लाइफ आपने 45 days कर दी. तो ओवर पीरियड ऑफ टाइम आप उसे बेचते चले जाइए, एक भी टमाटो खराब नहीं होगा, अदर देन प्रेशर की वजह से जो ट्रांसपोर्टेशन में खराब हो रहा है. यू नीड बायोटेक्नोलॉजी फॉर दैट, बट issues are what you are reading in newspaper. BT brinjal, so Bacillus thuringiensis, BT, is a bacteria which creates a toxin called as CR white cryotoxin, which damages the brinjal. अक्सर बाजार में झमेला है, अगर शाम को चले गए ना, बचपन में मैं जाता था पिताजी के साथ, अब तो सब जगह लाइट हो गया है मार्केट वगैरह में, तो शाम को बैगन जो मिलते घर में लाने के बाद दिखता था काफियों में कीड़े हैं. अभी भी बैगन में भयंकर कीड़े होते हैं. इट इज बिकॉज ऑफ द बैसिलस बैक्टीरियल थ्यूरेंजेंसिस. अब उन्होंने क्या किया है कि उसके अगेंस्ट में एक एंटीडोट प्रोटीन निकाली है. अगर वो अमेरिका में, या ब्रिंजॉल हम कहते हैं, अमेरिका में प्लांट को एक के जैसा दिखता है ना, छोटा वाला एक प्लांट्स कहते हैं, तो वो जो है इट कैन प्रिवेंट रॉटनिंग ऑफ द ब्रिंजॉल एंड प्रोडक्टिविटी विल इंक्रीज. But there was such a hue and cry all over country, BT brinjal हम यहाँ पे नहीं करने देंगे. So many court cases went on, environmentalists, NGOs, they all fought. The reason was, there are twofold reasons. Some of them would say कि अगर आपने रेजिस्टेंट बनाया है बैगन को, तो बैगन किसी बैक्टीरिया के में रेजिस्टेंट होगा उस टॉक्सिन की अगेंस्ट में, और कल्चर के आदमी में अगर वो बैक्टीरिया आता है तो आदमी के पास तो वो जीन नहीं है जो बैगन के पास है, तो ट्रांसजेनिक बैगन तो बच जाएगा, आदमी मर सकता है. What we call as antimicrobial resistance, that is another. खैर वो केस काफी चलता रहा. Once I went to Bangladesh and I found one of their क्या कहते हैं उसको, मंत्री जी from agriculture. She allowed कि कुछ नहीं प्रॉब्लम है. Americans came and they wanted to do that कि भाई आप लोग यहाँ फील्ड ट्रायल कर लीजिए, रख लीजिए. They opened it. अब बांग्लादेश के रूट से कलकत्ता इंडिया में बीटी ब्रिंजल आ चुका है, क्योंकि बहुत देर तक चलता है, खराब होता नहीं है, यील्ड ज्यादा है, कीड़ा नहीं होता तो उसकी ग्रोथ भी ज्यादा हो जाती है क्योंकि वो तकलीफ में नहीं है. So you know, but we legally did not allow it. Now I'll tell you another case, that when I was in National Institute of Animal Biotechnology, that BT cotton was also restricted and spread like that. There are huge number of samples of stems and plants of BT cotton which came for legal reason to me, that I was a storehouse, secret storehouse, and then I have to deliver it to a company in Bangalore who would analyze where that transgenic gene is expressed in that leaf or stem or not. Accordingly, they could detect and catch people who are practicing transgenic crop breeding, which is legally not allowed in the country. Now, let us go to the animals. So when we go to animals, we find that one transgenic animal which is sanctioned for use is salmon, transgenic salmon. So Canada was the first country. These are all your legal things. Only biotechnology parties we can do this. I am a guy actually who does it. I am a person who sits in these committees in Department of Biotechnology. So I am part of the bunch of people who make these rules. So how do you, if you know a little bit of biology or biotechnology, how do you make the rules? So there are ways. Let us say, I'll teach you one thing very good. Some of you who do not know. मेरी माँ और मेरे पिताजी को अगर आप देखेंगे और मुझे देखेंगे तो बचपन से और अब तक कहेंगे हाँ आपके ओंठ माँ के जैसे हैं, आंख पिताजी के जैसे हैं, फिर थोड़ा बड़ा हो जाओगे. So naturally genes are changing. Naturally. मेंडल्स ने जो एक्सपेरिमेंट किए थे चर्च के पीछे में, वो कुछ नहीं किया. पॉलिनेशन से जो तितली या कोई भंवरा करता था कि इधर के पेड़ का वहां एंड्रोशियम गायनेशियम मिला के, वो उसने हाथ से प्लांट वे में करके देखा, पर नेचुरली तो वो हो ही रहा था. कई चने के पेड़ थे, कई गुलाब के फूल थे, वो एक दूसरे को क्रॉस करते चले गए और जीन्स डिफरेंट होते चले गए, मॉड्यूलेशन होते चला गया. आपको दिखेगा कि भुट्टे के जितने दाने होते हैं उसमें से 6-7 दाने अलग तरह के हैं, किसका कलर थोड़ा सा चेंज हो गया है, आप में से किसी ने भी नहीं किया, नेचर हैज डन दैट म्यूटेशन। अगर उस दाने से कोई पेड़ होगा तो वो म्यूटेटेड पेड़ है। देयर आर बिलियंस ऑफ म्यूटेटेड प्लांट्स which is naturally mutated because of environmental or any other kind of stress. उसमें मेरा आपका किसी लॉ का कोई हाथ नहीं है, वो खा रहे हैं हम लोग, उससे हम सरवाइव करते हैं, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। So there are natural mutations because of there are changes in the yield of the crop, quality of the crop, और एक्चुअली किसान और ट्रेडिशनल फार्मिंग जो थी वो यही थी कि अच्छे पेड़ को लेके, अच्छी गाय को लेके, अच्छे बैल को लेके प्रोपागेट करना है। तो वो अच्छा कहां से निकला? बिकॉज ऑफ जेनेटिक मॉडिफिकेशंस विच ऑल अकर्ड नेचुरली। तो कोई अगर बहुत बड़ा केस फाइट करता है ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ लॉ, he or she can prove that there are so many things we consume or take which are better in yield but naturally selected by the farming people. Farming can be of गाय भैंस, बकरी और मुर्गी, और फार्मिंग कैन बी दैट ऑफ बैगन, आलू, प्याज, टमाटर, राइस। तो न्यूट्रिशन की वैल्यू लेते हैं। बहुत सारे पेड़ ऐसे हैं जो समुद्र के तट पे होते हैं, आपने देखा होगा, मैंग्रीव बोलते हैं उनको, बड़े बड़े पेड़ हैं, ऐसा तो नहीं, पर वो वहां पे अगर आपने राइस का पेड़ लगाया, आपको राइस ज्यादा चाहिए, आपके तो मेजर प्रॉब्लम क्या है कि सर वो सब खेती वेती गांव में सब बिल्डिंग बन गई है, तो क्या करना है सर? नदी भी सूख गया, साबरमती आपकी देखिए, मेरा दिल इतना दुखता है, मेरे घर से साबरमती दिखता है पर सूखा, बरसात में थोड़ा बहुत 10-15-20 दिन के लिए पानी उन्होंने छोड़ा था, नदियां सूख गई है। तो समुद्र के चारों तरफ पानी है, कितना बड़ा एरिया है हमारा। तो अगर खारे पानी से, सॉल्ट के पानी से चावल ग्रो कर सके या गेहूं ग्रो कर सके, बहुत बढ़िया है, बड़ा इनोवेटिव आइडिया है। कुछ किसान की जरूरत नहीं है, लंबे लंबे 40-40 फीट के पाइप लगा दीजिए और अपना किलोमीटर्स तक पानी, तो खत्म ही नहीं होगा जिंदगी। बट द प्रॉब्लम is salt intolerance. So you'll be surprised to know that now people are working and almost develop genetically modified rice plants which are salt tolerant. अभी लॉ आएगा, जब भी आप उसको करने जाएंगे बोले नहीं आप गलत कर रहे हैं, वो कर रहे हैं, कहीं एनजीओ आएंगे, कहीं एनवायरमेंटलिस्ट आएंगे, नहीं, बट ले दे के हमें भूखे आदमी को जिंदा रखना है, उसे तो चावल का दाना चाहिए, वो सॉल्ट रेजिस्टेंट प्लांट से बना हो या नॉर्मल प्लांट से बना हो, बट प्रोबेबली विल विन द फाइट एंड लीगल बैटल बिकॉज इट इज नॉट एंटीबायोटिक लाइक बीटी ब्रिंजॉल और बीटी कॉटन, इट इज जस्ट सॉल्ट resistant. So from the plants surrounding it, they found which are the genes which are disallowing the plant to be rotten because of salt. वो genes उन्होंने राइस के प्लांट में. So now you can get a salt resistant rice variety. CCMB, Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology में there is a gentleman, Dr. Ramesh Sonti. Dr. Lilani had the luck of seeing him because we invited him. Now he is director of International Center for Genetic Engineering and Biotechnology. Before that, he was director of National Institute of Plant Genome Research. उन्होंने सोना मसूरी नाम की वैरायटी के एक राइस को एनहांस किया है और वो आंध्र प्रदेश के कई गांवों में चल रही है, उसका यील्ड बढ़ गया है। मतलब एक पेड़ जो आपको फॉर एग्जांपल कहता हूं कि एक जो ऐसा इस तरह का पेड़ होता है, समझिए वो आपको 400 ग्राम का राइस देती थी फाइनली, हर एक पतला दुबला पेड़, तो अब वो जो है उसको 600 ग्राम का राइस देती है। तो लोगों ने गांव में अभी उस वैरायटी को यूज करना शुरू किया है। बट यू नो ही हैज एंश्योर्ड दैट दैट इज नॉट ट्रांसजेनिकली मेड। उसने कुछ और कुछ करके किया कि वो बच गया कि उसको लीगल कोर्ट में जाके लड़ाई झगड़ा ये सब नहीं करना पड़ा। अब आते हैं एनिमल्स में। तो एनिमल्स में एक मायोस्टैटिन नाम का जीन है। वो मायोस्टैटिन क्या करता है कि किसी एक एज में जाके, आप बच्चे थे ना, आप थे ना कि नहीं, फिर आप बड़े होते चले गए, आपके पेरेंट्स ने, फ्रेंड्स ने आपको देखा है, एक जगह आके आप रुक गए, फिर नहीं बड़े हुए, फिर उतने ही रहे, फिर आपका हाथ और नहीं फूला, फिर आपके थाई के मसल्स और नहीं फूले, That means there is a gene which resists the further growth of the muscle. हम लोग कैटल या लार्ज एनिमल्स का कंजम्पशन यहाँ नहीं करते, फॉरेन में करते, पर हम लोग बकरी, इंडिया में बकरी को एज ए मीट का सोर्स माना जाता है, पोल्ट्री को एज ए मीट का सोर्स माना जाता है। समझिए एक बकरी जो मार्केट में प्रोटीन की रिक्वायरमेंट बहुत है एंड एक्सट्रीमली प्रोटीन डेफिशिएंट पॉपुलेशन हम लोग आजकल ग्रो हो रहे हैं। अगर अब बकरी का मीट कोई खाता नहीं है, यहाँ पे बहुत लोग वेजिटेरियन है, मैं बताता हूँ उसके रेट क्या है मार्केट में। मछली आपको मिलती है 250 रुपए किलो, अंडा रिलेटिवली सस्ता मिल जाता है, शायद 200 रुपए में आपको जो है 30-40 अंडे मिल जाए। मीट जो है वो अराउंड 800 रुपीज ऑन एन एवरेज इस कंट्री में केजी है। और पोल्ट्री जिसे कहते हैं हम मुर्गी, वो 250 से 250 रुपए केजी है। तो लोग पोल्ट्री ज्यादा खाते हैं कि मीट ही है, वो भी 250 से 250 केजी है। गोट का मीट वंस इन ए वीक खाते हैं क्योंकि उसकी कीमत 4-fold ज्यादा है। पर कई गरीब लोग हैं जो मीट खाते ही नहीं है, प्रोटीन का सोर्स उनके लिए है ही नहीं क्योंकि पैसे नहीं है। कुछ लोग वेजिटेरियन है, वो ठीक है, पर जो नॉन वेजिटेरियन है अगर उनको मीट का सोर्स दिया जाए खा पाए, वो उनकी औकात और हैसियत नहीं है खरीद के खाने की। So why then the question comes, why the goat meat is more costly? पोल्ट्री भी फार्मर पालता है, गोट भी फार्मर पालता है, बिकॉज गोट की वैसी एक लिमिट है, एक जगह जाके वो उसका ग्रोथ फर्दर नहीं होता है। सो मायोस्टेटिन इज द जीन, इफ यू नॉक आउट दैट जीन इन गोट, गोट विल बिकम 2 size of its size, क्योंकि आपने उसकी इनहिबिशन कर दिया उस प्रोटीन का जो उसकी ग्रोथ को रोक रहा था, तो उसकी ग्रोथ बढ़ जाती है। तो फार्मर का इनकम डबल होगा या कॉस्ट हाफ हो जाएगा, जो भी आप सोचे जिस तरह से इसको, जिसे हम प्लांट की यील्ड कहते हैं वैसे एनिमल्स की भी यील्ड हो सकती है। तो सैल्मन को, क्योंकि सैल्मन बड़ा कॉस्टली, लार्ज सैल्मन इज वेरी कॉस्टली, छोटे सैल्मन तो फिर भी सस्ते आते हैं, तो फिर इसको किया था उन्होंने, जो कि कनाडा में और बाद में भी यूएसए में उन्होंने एज ए जेनेटिकली मॉडिफाइड फूड एक्सेप्ट कर लिया है, बट आफ्टर सेवरल लीगल बैटल्स एंड प्रूविंग दैट डजंट मैटर, इससे शरीर को कोई तकलीफ होगी नहीं। सो हेल्थ की रिक्वायरमेंट हमेशा रहेगी। हम लोग बायोटेक्नोलॉजी के मीन्स एंड वेज से प्लांट्स को मॉडिफाई करेंगे, जरूरी है, नहीं करेंगे तो खाना नहीं मिलेगा। मैं और एक बात बताऊं, सिर्फ ये नहीं कि सबको मोटा बनाना है, मैंने आपको बताया सॉल्ट रेजिस्टेंस करके आप लैंड का प्रॉपर यूज करके फूड बढ़ा सकते हो, उसमें लीगलिटी बहुत आएगी। कोई बोलेगा सी कोस्ट खराब हो रहा है तो आपको फाइट करना होगा केस, कोई बोलेगा कि ये नए तरीके के प्लांट आपने बनाए हैं, इससे जो है एक्चुअली में ऐसा है। कॉर्न की एक, अमेरिका में सब ट्रांसजेनिक कॉर्न है, अगर आप देखेंगे इतने बड़े बड़े कॉर्न होते हैं अमेरिका में, क्योंकि वहां गाय भैंस खाते हैं तो आदमी बहुत कम कंज्यूम करता है या उससे ऑयल निकाला जाता है। तो कॉर्न की फ्लावर से एक तरह का बटरफ्लाई है जो मरना शुरू हो गया क्योंकि वो ट्रांसजेनिक फ्लावर है। तो ऐसे इश्यूज तो आएंगे, सो वन हैज टू बी वेरी केयरफुल एंड वॉच फॉर लॉन्गर टाइम। अब ये देखना कि वो बटरफ्लाई हमारे इकोसिस्टम का हिस्सा है या नहीं, उस बटरफ्लाई से हमें कोई फायदा घाटा है कि नहीं, क्योंकि कॉर्न का फ्लावर आदमी नहीं खाता है, कॉर्न का फ्लावर गाय भैंस भी नहीं खाता है, और एक इल्ली से बटरफ्लाई होके उसकी डेथ में वो उसका रोल होगा। हमारा तो सिस्टम में कहाँ बह के चले जाएगा, दिखेगा भी नहीं, मे बी बताओ इतने छोटे अमाउंट हम कंज्यूम करेंगे। बट वी हैव टू फाइंड इट आउट एंड क्लैरिफाई। इसीलिए कभी कभी इस तरह के सवाल आते हैं, बट सिर्फ लैंड एरिया नहीं यूज करना है, सिर्फ यील्ड डबल नहीं करना है, आपको फूड को एनरिच भी करना है। There is a huge amount of vitamin A deficiency. So people have worked, and rice is a staple food in many places. So people have worked to overspace beta carotene, ताकि that is a source from which eventually vitamin A will be made, so that कम खा के भी गरीब आदमी की आंखें खराब ना हो, उसके बाल न झड़े, उसकी बोन्स कमजोर ना हो। तो चलो उसको पेट भर खाना नहीं मिलता, पर अगर उसे सारे दिन की रिक्वायरमेंट 400 ग्राम्स का फूड है, अगर वो 220 ग्राम्स ही कंज्यूम करता है तो वो इतना न्यूट्रिशियस है कि उसकी न्यूट्रिशन रिक्वायरमेंट पूरी हो जाए, पेट ना भरे भले ही, धीरे धीरे उसकी आदत हो जाएगी कम खाने की, भूख नहीं लगेगी। पर शरीर को डिमांड है कि अगर सफिशिएंट विटामिन, सफिशिएंट प्रोटीन्स, सफिशिएंट मिनरल्स न जाए तो बोन्स, हार्ट के मसल्स, बाल, बहुत चीजों पे इफेक्ट होगा. तो कम से कम फूड में डबल न्यूट्रिशन अगर हम दे सके, दैट्स ऑल्सो वन ऑफ द वेज. सो यू सी, बायोटेक्नोलॉजी इज in the base of every nutritious food which people are working like mad today. सारा वर्ल्ड, कभी बहुत बार मैं सोचता हूं कि मैं क्यों मतलब zoology और ह्यूमन बायोलॉजी और उस तरह काम किया, मैंने बॉटनी में क्यों नहीं काम किया, क्योंकि मुझे लगता है द बेस्ट वे टू रिजॉल्व द प्रॉब्लम्स, फूड प्रॉब्लम्स ऑफ द वर्ल्ड इज प्लांट साइंसेस. बिकॉज आपको वेजिटेरियन नॉन वेजिटेरियन की इशू नहीं रहेगी. सफिशिएंट प्रोटीन पैदा कीजिए, सफिशिएंट विटामिन पैदा कीजिए. प्लांट को आप कहीं भी ग्रो कर सकते हो, रात को घर जाके सोते हैं. जानवरों की देखभाल करनी होती है. जानवर कहीं भटक सकता है. ट्रांसजेनिक जानवर अगर कहीं भटक गया तो आप उसके ऊपर में कोई कंट्रोल नहीं है. प्लांट रातों रात कहीं नहीं जाएगा. वो एक जगह पे रहेगा, कन्फाइंड रहेगा. यू कैन मैनिपुलेट द प्लांट्स द वे यू वांट टू मैनिपुलेट. सो एक्चुअली प्लांट बायोटेक्नोलॉजी इज एक्सट्रीमली बिग. और आप हमेशा पेपर में पढ़ेंगे, आपने जितना प्लांट का पढ़ा है इतना एनिमल का नहीं पढ़ा है. आपने पढ़ा होगा टोमेटो का, बीटी ब्रिंजॉल का, बीटी कॉटन का, और अभी बहुत बड़े गवर्नमेंट के केसेस चले हैं वो है मस्टर्ड का, ट्रांसजेनिक मस्टर्ड का. एंड हम लोगों ने बायोटेक्नोलॉजी डिवीजन ने और एनवायरमेंट एंड फॉरेस्ट ने एक जीन कैसे इंसर्ट कर रहे हैं, उसके 3 तरह होते हैं, मैं उसके डिटेल में नहीं जाता हूं, और उन्होंने पहले और सेकेंड जीन ट्रांसमिशन के लिए अलाउ किया है. थर्ड वाले के लिए बोला कि बहुत कंट्रोल में. उसके तहत कायदे से एवरीथिंग इज डन फॉर रिलीज ऑफ द मस्टर्ड. बट आई थिंक कहीं वो जाकर किसी जगह पे जाकर वो पार्लियामेंट में लटका है, बाकी सब जगह से क्लियरेंस उसका हो गया है. सो थैंक यू मैडम फॉर कॉलिंग मी, एंड आई हैव गिवन यू माय व्यूज दैट हाउ बायोटेक्नोलॉजी इज रिलेवेंट टू फूड एंड न्यूट्रिशन, and how if you want to develop nutrition enough for the masses that you have to come across law and you have to fight cases and win them. The best would be if government, every government, American, German, French, they are all different. They make their different laws. If Indian government makes regulatory laws, that is best for you. Then you can follow those food steps. अगर मैं लीला जी को, लीला जी सिगरेट पीना जेबीओ में मना है, और लीला जी कहते हैं नहीं सर मेरे को तो एक पीना ही है, महीने में एक दिन मैं पीता हूं पूर्णिमा के दिन, तो फिर मुझे एक लॉ बनाए. तो मैं बोला नहीं लीला जी मना है, वो नहीं तो ठीक नहीं है. पर ये बहुत अच्छा है कि अगर हम ये लॉ बनाए कि महीने में एक आदमी सबसे कोने में हमने एक दड़बा बनाया है और एग्जॉस्ट बनाया है, अपना फेस रिकॉग्नाइज करें, अपना फिंगरप्रिंट दे और अंदर जाके एक सिगरेट पी के बाहर आ सकता है. तो ये लॉ है, उनको कोई नहीं पकड़ेगा. एक इसका स्कोप बनता है किसी का कि मैं ये काम जो लोग अनैतिक समझते हैं पर मैं मेरे हिसाब से कर रहा हूं, मैं कर सकता हूं. उसके लिए लॉ से अगर लॉ बने कि जीन्स को कैसे हैंडल किया जाए, प्लांट्स और एनिमल्स की वैरायटी. ये पीते नहीं है सिगरेट, में बता दो, मैं सिर्फ मजाक कर रहा हूं, फिर ये मुझे घर जाके डांटेंगे. तो कैसे लॉ बने, कैसे गवर्नेंस हो उसका, और कैसे रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशन बने, तो उसमें फिट करके बायोटेक्नोलॉजिस्ट कैन वर्क. यू नो, उस फ्रेमवर्क में वो काम करेंगे, उन 6 स्टेप्स में काम करेंगे, करके वो अच्छे प्लांट्स बना सकते हैं. जैसे हिमाचल प्रदेश में जमीन लेना मना है, लेट अस टेक ए बेटर एग्जांपल. बट एक्चुअली में कोई ले भी सकता है, उसके कई 6-7 तरीके हैं. या आप वहां की, आप लोग बेटर जानते हैं, वहां की लड़की से शादी करिए, है ना, या वहां के ग्राम पंचायत से लिखवा के लीजिए कि हम अपने ग्राम की ग्राम पंचायत वाली बिल्डिंग बना चुके हैं और आधी जमीन खाली है, तो हम इस एनजीओ को 50 साल के लिए ये देना चाहते हैं. तो गवर्नमेंट देती है. उस ग्राम के ग्राम पंचायत का ठप्पा सिग्नेचर चाहिए, फिर आपको वो जमीन मिलेगी. 50 साल बहुत होते हैं, आप अपने आप को एक अच्छा एनजीओ स्टैब्लिश कर लें, 10 साल में 100 जगह और खरीद लीजिए, छोड़ दीजिए. बट आप उनकी लैंड को ही यूज करना है तो कर सकते हैं, बिकॉज देयर आर रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस. So we need to generate rules and regulation, keep them in place so that we follow those rules and regulation and ensure कि जो काम मैं लेबोरेटरी में कर रहा हूं बायोटेक्नोलॉजी का, वो अगर उस रास्ते से जाऊंगा तो 7 साल में एक ट्रांसजेनिक प्लांट को मैं फील्ड में रिलीज कर पाऊंगा. That will be very nice. So we are all struggling to do that. We sit in the governance side and we do rules and regulations, work with several ministries. itna आसान भी नहीं, have to always work with Ministry of Environment and Forest for any plant or animal release which is transgenically modified. But food and nutrition problem can be resolved by use of biotechnology, and we must make rules and regulations. And I have conveyed you how nicely biotechnology can help the need for the yield of the food, for the quality of the food, and for successful use of the lands which are unusable at today's date. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for the kind words. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Vineet Mehta, visiting faculty of at Department of Constitutional Law and Legal Order, for vote of thanks for inaugural session.
Thank you. Thank you is such a prayer that cannot be seen or touched. It must be felt by heart only. I feel honored and privileged to get the opportunity to propose a vote of thanks on this special occasion. Firstly, I would like to thank all honorable dignitaries who blessed us with their presence. I, on the behalf of Department of Constitutional Law and Legal Order of School of Law, Gujarat University, convey the deep regard and hearty thanks to the absentia of Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Nirja A. Gupta, Gujarat University, for her motivation to organize this event. I am also thankful to the Registrar, Dr. P.M. Patel, Gujarat University, for his constant support. My special thanks to Professor Dr. Subir S. Majmudar, Director General, Gujarat Biotechnology University, as a chief guest, and the guest of honor, Professor Dr. Purvi Pokhariyal, the Dean of School of Law, Forensic Justice and Policy Study, National Forensic Science University, for their gracious presence over here. I would like to thank to our Director of School of Law, Professor Dr. Subhas P. Rathore, HOD of Constitutional Law and Legal Order, Dr. Prachi Motiani, and Assistant Professor Dr. Chetna Bujard, School of Law, to organize this conference. And I'm also thankful to EMRC Gujarat University for live telecast of this conference. And I'm also thankful to our former director of School of Law, Professor Dr. K.C. Rawal, for his gracious presence here. By concluding this in just one quote, if time is money, then today you have spent $1 million for us. Thanks to all of you who present here for the inaugural session. Thank you.
Now, I would like to request all of you to stand for our national anthem. Kindly take a note that first technical session will commence within 10 minutes. So kindly submit your...
आई गए
Hmm.